I didn't plan on kissing her. I didn't even plan on speaking to her without losing my temper. But sometimes, life throws you into moments where nothing makes sense, and you're left questioning every emotion you've ever tried to bury. It all started 3 nights ago when I found out something that hit me like a slap in the face. A message. Just one message on her phone, one she clearly didn't expect me to see, sent my heart crashing. And that's when I made up my mind. I was going to confront her. Not shout, not argue, but get the truth. Straight from her lips. She wasn't just anyone. She was someone I used to trust. Someone who used to finish my sentences, laugh at my dumbest jokes, and cry when I cried. But somewhere along the way, something broke. And instead of fixing it, we just started pretending like everything was fine. Until that message. I rehearsed everything in my head while driving to her apartment. Every word, every possible reaction she might have. I wanted answers. I needed to hear her admit what she did, to finally confirm the doubt that had been crawling in my chest for weeks. I wasn't there for closure, I was there to release everything I had been bottling up. When I knocked on her door, I didn't expect her to open it so quickly. Or look so calm. She didn't seem surprised to see me either, which only made me more suspicious. My heartbeat was in my ears. I stepped inside without really waiting for her to invite me. That's how much I was done with the pretending. But the moment I looked at her, something shifted. Her eyes weren't cold. They weren't guarded. In fact, they looked sad. Like she had been waiting for this too, just not in the way I thought. She didn't speak right away. Neither did I. The air between us felt thick with everything we hadn't said in months. Then I started. I asked her about the message. I expected denial, excuses, maybe even tears. But instead, she nodded. Softly. Slowly. She said, I know you're hurt. And you deserve to be. No drama, no defense. Just those words. And that's when everything I'd planned to say fell apart. I asked why. I didn't yell. I didn't accuse. I just asked. And her answer, it shook something in me. She told me things I didn't want to hear, but maybe needed to. About feeling invisible. About holding on to something that didn't feel like love anymore. About her mistakes, and mine. And somewhere between her honesty and my silence, we started remembering the people we used to be. I don't know how it happened, but when she stepped closer, I didn't move away. I should have. I meant to. But I didn't. The next thing I knew, my hand brushed hers, and her breath was close. Too close. And then, it just happened. One kiss. Gentle. Quiet. Confusing. I pulled away first. Not because I regretted it, but because I didn't know what it meant. Neither of us said a word after that. But the chaos in my heart was louder than ever. What started as a confrontation turned into something I still can't explain. And if you think that kiss answered anything, believe me, it didn't. It only made everything more complicated. After that kiss, I didn't know whether to leave or stay. The air between us had completely changed, but not in a way that made things easier. My head was spinning, and my heart? It was a mess of everything, anger, sadness, longing, confusion. I looked at her, and for a second, it felt like we were back in the beginning. The way she looked at me, like I was still hers, was dangerous. Because deep down, I wasn't sure if I still wanted to be. I stepped back and asked again, why didn't you just tell me? She sighed and sat down, almost like she'd been carrying the weight of that question for too long. She said she was scared. Scared of hurting me, scared of being honest, and even more scared of what it meant if we both admitted things had changed. That we weren't the same anymore. She said the message I saw wasn't what I thought, but she also didn't try to act innocent. I kept trying to make sense of it all. We had history of years of memories, late-night talks, and promises we thought we'd always keep. But at some point, we stopped being each other's safe place. And maybe, we both just didn't want to admit it. I sat down across from her, unsure of what I wanted from this conversation anymore. I was still hurt. Still confused. But there was a part of me that wasn't ready to walk away. At least not yet. I asked about the guy, the one from the message, and her answer only raised more questions. She said it wasn't what it looked like, but didn't deny that he meant something. That's when I realized this wasn't just about betrayal. It was about everything we never said. Everything still left unsaid. She told me his name was Ethan. Said they met at work. Said he just listened when things got too heavy between us. I didn't say anything, but inside, I felt something crack. It wasn't about him, not really. It was about the fact that she needed someone else to talk to. That I had become so distant, so unaware, that she didn't feel safe turning to me. That truth stung harder than anything. She said nothing happened physically, but she admitted she caught herself waiting for his texts. Smiling when his name popped up. And when she realized what that meant, she hated herself for it. But by then, the space between us had already grown too wide. I asked her if she had feelings for him. Her silence was the answer. Not a yes. But definitely not a no. I tried not to show it, but I felt sick. Still, I wasn't innocent either. I had stopped trying a long time ago. I buried myself in work, made excuses to avoid home, and pretended like being busy meant I was being strong. I ignored every red flag. I numbed myself to every awkward silence between us. Maybe, deep down, I was scared too. Scared that if we both looked too closely, we'd realize we weren't who we used to be. As she sat there, staring at her hands, I caught myself remembering a time when things were simpler. When we'd argue over what movie to watch, not about trust. When love didn't feel like something that needed to be fixed. But now, everything felt tangled. And even though part of me wanted to just walk away and never look back, another part couldn't let go. Because what if there was still something left? Or worse, what if it was already too late? She looked up at me with those tired eyes and asked, "Do you even still love me?" And I swear, in that moment, I forgot how to breathe. Because how do you answer a question like that when your heart is pulled in 10 different directions? I wanted to say yes, but I didn't know if it would be the truth, or just a memory of the truth. I looked away instead, and she knew. I could see it on her face. That flicker of hope dimming right in front of me. The silence was heavy. Every second felt like it stretched longer than it should. Then, she stood up, walked to the window, and said, "You know, I thought if you showed up angry, maybe that meant you still cared. But you're too calm. And that's scarier." I didn't respond. Because maybe she was right. Maybe I was too numb now. Or maybe I was holding everything in so tight, afraid that if I let one feeling out, they'd all come crashing down. She asked if I wanted to know if she kissed him. That was the moment everything inside me tensed up. My fists clenched, my jaw locked. I didn't even answer, just stared at her, heart pounding so loud I could barely hear her next words. "I didn't," she said, "but I thought about it. I thought about what it would feel like to be wanted again. It was like getting hit without being touched." Every thought, every doubt, every old wound came rushing back at once. I felt cornered by the truth, by the past, by what we had become. And yet, I didn't leave. I didn't move. Because something about this pain still felt unfinished. Something about her words felt like they were leading to something bigger. Something I wasn't ready for. I stood there frozen, trying to process what she had just said. That she thought about kissing someone else. Not because she didn't love me, but because she wanted to feel wanted. That part haunted me. And before I could even react, before I could even find the words, she dropped something I didn't see coming. "There's something else," she whispered, voice shaking. "Something I haven't told anyone." I turned slowly, feeling a new kind of dread building in my chest. She sat back down, but this time, she didn't look at me. Her fingers fidgeted nervously, like she was deciding whether to say it at all. I waited. I didn't push. I just watched her carefully, feeling like the ground beneath us was about to give way. Then she said it. I met him, before things got bad between us. Before we stopped trying. For a second, I couldn't even respond. My mind started spinning. Before things got bad? That meant this wasn't just about loneliness or emotional distance. This had roots. It went deeper than I thought. I asked her, so what, you were already thinking of leaving? And she shook her head, eyes full of guilt. No. But I was already slipping away, and I didn't know how to stop it. He just showed up at the right time. Or maybe the wrong time. That hit harder than anything. The idea that while I was still trying to hold things together, at least in my mind, she was already somewhere else emotionally. With someone else emotionally. And then she said something I never expected. He doesn't know about you. I blinked. What do you mean he doesn't know? She swallowed hard. He doesn't know we're still living together. Still trying. I told him we were already done. My stomach dropped. That wasn't just betrayal. That was rewriting our entire story without me even knowing. I felt like a stranger in my own relationship. And suddenly, the kiss we just shared felt even more twisted, like we were standing in two completely different realities. I stood up, heart racing, hands trembling, not sure whether I wanted to scream or walk out. She was crying now, whispering that she never meant for any of this. But the damage was done. This wasn't just emotional chaos anymore. This was a collision of lies, half-truths, and broken intentions. And I had no idea what I was supposed to do next. I stared at her, everything inside me boiling, anger, confusion, heartbreak. The air felt heavy, like even the walls were holding their breath. She had rewritten our story behind my back, told someone else we were over when we were still in it, still sleeping under the same roof, still hoping some part of us could be saved. And now, everything I thought we were holding on to felt fake. I don't even know who you are anymore, I said, my voice low. She wiped her face, tears falling harder now, but she didn't beg or chase. She just sat there, defeated. And maybe that was the scariest part, she looked like she had already given up long before I walked through the door tonight. I didn't know how to tell you, she whispered. I thought maybe if I said it out loud, everything would fall apart. It already has, I replied, voice cracking. You just didn't want to see it. Then came the silence, the kind that only comes when there's nothing left to say. I walked to the door, ready to leave, to never come back. My hand was on the handle when she said something that stopped me cold. I'm pregnant. I turned around slowly, not sure if I heard her right. Her eyes locked with mine, and this time, there was no sadness, only fear. I just found out. Yesterday. The room spun. My knees felt weak. And all the hurt I'd felt suddenly got replaced by something even heavier. A million thoughts crashed into my head at once. Was it mine? Was it his? I couldn't even ask. The words got stuck in my throat. She stood up, took a deep breath, and said, I don't know whose it is. That one sentence shattered everything. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. The woman I had once trusted more than anyone had not only broken that trust but left me standing at a crossroads I never saw coming. I opened the door, stepped out without a word, and let it close behind me. Outside, the night felt colder than it should have. And as I walked down the steps, one thought echoed louder than the rest, sometimes love doesn't end with a fight, or even a goodbye. Sometimes, it ends in silence, and one impossible question you never thought you'd have to ask. I didn't sleep that night. I just kept walking. Through empty streets, past glowing streetlights and closed cafes, trying to make sense of everything. Her words kept echoing in my mind, I don't know whose it is. How do you even begin to process something like that? I wanted to feel angry, betrayed, broken. But more than anything, I felt hollow. Like I had been emptied out. The next morning, I sat alone on a park bench, watching the sky slowly shift from night to day. And for the first time in a long time, I let myself cry. Not just for what she did, but for what we lost. For what we both let slip through our hands. Maybe love wasn't enough. Maybe honesty should have come sooner. Maybe we were never as okay as we pretended to be. A few days passed before I went back to talk to her. Not to fight. Not to fix things. But for closure. She looked tired, like the weight of her choices had finally settled on her shoulders. We sat down, not as a couple, but as two people who once meant everything to each other. She told me she was going to get the test done once it was possible. That she owed me that much. I nodded. I didn't ask to be involved. I didn't promise anything. I just listened. Before I left, I told her something that surprised even me. I said, I don't hate you. I just hate how we ended. She nodded, eyes full of quiet regret, and whispered, me too. Weeks turned into months. The test came back. It wasn't mine. And in a strange way, that gave me the final push to let go. Not because I didn't care, but because I knew now that holding on would only drag both of us down further. She moved out of the apartment. I kept it, but it didn't feel like home for a long time. Looking back now, I don't see it as just betrayal. I see it as two people who drifted, who got too caught up in surviving and forgot how to love each other properly. This story isn't about the kiss, or the lie, or even the pregnancy. It's about what happens when truth is ignored too long. And the emotional chaos that follows when love loses its way. 43.